Hello everyone, it's Dylan from Yu-Gi-Oh! Everything, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's video. So this is going to be a completely speculative video based on a little bit of information that we have gotten in regards to Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's. I do want to state right in the beginning that nothing has been confirmed. This is not a confirmed fact or anything like that, but there is reason to believe very early on in Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's run that Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's, when it's all said and done, will be the shortest Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime in terms of episode length. Now, at the moment, the shortest episode length anime that we've gotten is Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains, which had a total of 120 episodes. Every other Yu-Gi-Oh! Series besides Vrains has had at least 146. I believe Zexal had 146, Arc 5 had 148, 5Ds had 154, GX had 180-ish, and Duel Monsters had 224. Double check me on GX and Duel Monsters, I'm just going off the top of my head, but the Yu-Gi-Oh! Shows have been getting shorter and shorter with episode length for a while now. Duel Monsters obviously had the most, then GX had a lot, 5Ds it was short, 5Ds, Arc 5, and Zexal all kind of hung out in the same range, and then Vrains, of course, even though it was supposed to be, as many of us thought, a 3-year anime, it started a month late, and it ended 6 months early, and so Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains really was only like a 2-year, 5-month anime, and we have reason to believe early on that Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's is actually only going to be a 2-year anime, as opposed to the typical 3-year anime that we normally do get with Yu-Gi-Oh! That, of course, is based on a very small rumor, but also I'm going to add my own little twist into this as to why I personally believe Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's will have the least amount of episodes for a Yu-Gi-Oh! And before I get into that, I do want to say that this really doesn't have anything to do with how Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's is being received over in Japan. Surprisingly enough, we have gotten some Nico ratings early on, and Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's in Japan is actually being received really, really well. The Nico ratings, if you vote a 1 or a 2, that means you thought the episode was very good or good. 4 and 5 means bad or very bad. And over in Japan, Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's has been a hit. It is off to a very, very good start with the people over in that country, which is obviously their main target audience, so I'm sure they're happy about that. And through 3 episodes, even though Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's has a very different tone to it, it's definitely aiming to be more of a comedic show, more of a relaxed show than most of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. I think it understands its identity very well, and for what the show is supposed to be, it's a very, very good show. It understands what it's supposed to be, and I feel like it hits on a lot of those tropes in a really efficient and effective way. Of course, if you don't like that style of anime or that style of TV, you're probably not going to enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's, but for me, I don't really mind it, and I've really enjoyed the show so far. So I don't think the show being cut short or only having 2 years as opposed to the typical 3 has anything to do with the show performing poorly or not being well received or anything like that. There are 2 reasons why I believe Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's will end up being the shortest Yu-Gi-Oh! series ever. My friend over on Discord, Axe the Road, sent me this article. I believe JBix also reported on it. And Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's is added to a Unext streaming platform early April. So earlier this month, Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's was added to Unext, which is, again, a Japanese streaming platform. And Unext actually has the end date, or the supposed end date, of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's listed as March 31st, 2022. Now, could be a placeholder, although I've done a little more research, and I've read that usually the Unext final dates, the finale dates, are usually pretty accurate. So even though it could be a placeholder and it still could end up being a 3-year anime, based on this, Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's is scheduled to be done in March of 2022, and that makes sense in regards, not including Vrains, to all of the other Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime usually does end the final week of March on the 3rd year of its airing. This, of course, would be the 2nd year of its airing, so we would aim for probably about 95, 96 episodes, give or take a few. If that is the correct end date, that is how many episodes Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's will have. Might not even hit the 100 episode counter. When I first saw this, I genuinely thought to myself, like, no, it's definitely a placeholder. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime always goes for 3 years. And then, you know, I always have to take a step back, because we really are in such uncharted territory when it comes to the Yu-Gi-Oh franchise. The Yu-Gi-Oh anime always goes for 3 years. We thought that Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains was going to go for 3 years, but it didn't. It really only went for 2.5, mostly, even though it's unconfirmed, because of studio issues, and, it got cut short 6 months. It started late 1 month. There were plenty of recaps, and even when it first started, really for the first few months, the first year of its running, it probably wasn't ready to actually start airing, and they just kind of had to force it to get out there, and then they just didn't have enough funds at the end to finish it off for the last 6 months. We don't really know what happened there, but clearly Yu-Gi-Oh! Vrains only went for 2.5 years and got cut 6 months short. But 5D's, Arc 5 Zexal, they all went the distance. They all went 3 years. GX and Duel Monsters going 3.5 years and 4 years, respectively. But we are in completely uncharted territory. Completely uncharted territory. This is no longer Studio Gallup's Yu-Gi-Oh! This is being animated by Studio Bridge. Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s is being done by a completely new studio, and so the whole idea of, oh, well, Dylan, the precedent is 3 years for a Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime. It's definitely going to be 3 years. Throw that out the door. Leave that outside. Because that was the real problem that I had processing this information, because I'm so used to analyzing things based off of precedents. How many episodes until we get a new opening? How long does a season usually last? When does a new booster pack get released so we know what card or what summoning method is going to be used by a character in the anime? All of that is no longer a thing. And so the whole idea of Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s has to go 3 years because that's what Yu-Gi-Oh! does is completely irrelevant now. And I do believe that there is a very good chance that Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s and maybe Yu-Gi-Oh! From this point on is going to be a 2-year anime. And if this is true, Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s will be ending in late March of 2022, 2 years from when it started, as opposed to 3. Now, there's another reason that I believe Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s is going to end up having less episodes than a normal Yu-Gi-Oh!, and that's the pandemic that is going on around the world right now, COVID-19. We have already seen countless number of anime get delayed. We've seen some anime get delayed until like 2021, but I know recently Pokemon and Digimon both announced that those anime are going to be delayed and on hiatus until further notice. While we have not gotten any word about Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's going on a delay, I feel it's more a question of when, not if. I feel like it's almost inevitably going to happen. And when that happens, if Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's ends up missing out on 16 weeks or 20 weeks, there's two things that are going to happen. Either one, they'll try to extend their contract for maybe another full year or 6 months or for time missed. Or two, they won't extend the contract. They still need to end after 2 years because that's probably the TV contract that they discussed with TV Tokyo or Konami or whoever is responsible for doing those sort of negotiations, and they will miss out on like 16, 20 episodes, however long it takes until they're back to work and able to get off of hiatus. And if that's the case, Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's might still end in March of 2022, and yet they still might have lost about 16 episodes time because of the whole COVID-19 pandemic that's striking the world right now. And so if that's the case, Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's worst case scenario might end up only having about 75 to 80 episodes, which would be significantly shorter than even the runtime of Vrains, which was very short for Yu-Gi-Oh! Standards. I will end on a more optimistic note for those of you that have been enjoying Yu-Gi-Oh! 7's and maybe are processing this news in a very negative way. I personally do not believe that there is any correlation between the amount of episodes a show has and how enjoyable or how good or how bad or how well received a show is. I have seen a 12-episode anime, Death Parade. I have a poster right here to the left of me. Death Parade, to this day, is one of the best anime that I've ever watched. It didn't need any more episodes. I have also seen anime that had 148 episodes and have had about 50 episodes that I was like, alright, yeah, that wasn't too great. I preferred the anime that had 12 episodes. So the amount of episodes that a show has, there is no correlation between that show being good or that show being bad. That is something that I am very, very steadfast on. You will not get me to budge on that point. Do I believe that there are certain shows that had they had more episodes, it might have been better? Yeah, sure. But most shows know how many episodes they're going to get or the runtime of the show that they're going to get before that show comes to an end. And whether Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s ends up having 70 episodes or 90 episodes or 140 episodes, it doesn't really matter to me. I'm not looking for the amount of episodes in a show for me to enjoy it. What I'm looking for is how well the story is executed, how well the story is built up, how well the plot is built up, how well the characters develop, how well the story develops, and how well everything is executed and wrapped up in a very strong, very solid way. Psycho Pass Season 1, that had about mid-20s in episode count. That was a phenomenal Season 1. And then the next season, wasn't as good, but what I'm saying is there is no correlation to me between episode count and how good a show is. So I just wanted to end on that for some people that maybe have been really enjoying Sevens, that this news is bad news. I don't think it's bad news by any means. I have no issue with Yu-Gi-Oh! From this point on being a 2-year series and getting maybe 50 episodes less than 5Ds or Arc 5 or Zexal, as long as it's still executed and written in a very strong manner. So I have no issue with this at all. And I still hope that when Sevens is all said and done, no matter how many episodes it gets, it will be one of the more enjoyable Yu-Gi-Oh! Shows. It's definitely off to a good start, but through 3 episodes, it's hard to say really either way whether Sevens is going to end up crashing and burning and not being a good show or being a very good show. Hard to say either way. But guys, I want to hear from all of you. Do you believe that Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s will be the shortest Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime to date? Do you think that's a big deal? I really don't, but I do want to hear from all of you down below. Thank you so much for watching, and a special thank you to my Platinum tier patrons Alexa Baker, Glen McGookin, Jorge Carrillo, Horace Maye, Goosey Q, Vincent Van Der Veen, Panther J, Smith620, Jorge Leon, Blue Maiden 28, Jarrett Buller, Gabe G, and Aura Dragon, and to my Diamond tier patrons Jesse Wood, Latrell Smith, Sean, and Melinda Phantom, and to my Egyptian God tier patron Syn Cloud. Thank you to everyone who supports me on Patreon and to everyone who is a YouTube channel member. I cannot tell you how much it means to me and how much it truly helps me out. Thank you to everyone for watching my videos. I do appreciate it so much. I will talk to you down below. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day.